that I can't get over about that course design is that 1, 9, 10, and 18 are all the same, basically the same hole, literally up, back, all in the same spot of the golf course.
They're all par fives. They're all very, very similar. The 18 is downhill.
Slightly.
But other than that, 18 is downhill and 10 is slightly up. But other than that, yeah, they're pretty much it's 4 mirrors of each other.
Yeah, it was wild.
So that's the way it goes. Yeah.
I did to give Beau a little treat on the first hole when he made it clear that he probably wasn't going to be playing much golf. My second shot on the first hole was into a gale force wind on this par 5, and I hit driver off the deck for him just for fun.
I asked for it. I said I'll need driver.
And I roped
it
my little low cut ski.
Yeah,
all downhill from there. But that
what else?
Was magic.
How'd you guys do? Did you guys do good with your time? I know I was off yesterday. I was down in the capital city, and
did he were able to take some swings there?
No, I did get to play. So last Thursday or Friday, I played with the boys, my children, and we played 18. It was Bootsy and I against the other two.
Oh wow!
And yeah,
so you're back.
But I played for I played from about 125. I mean, the furthest I ever played out was like 125, 140, somewhere in there. And my oldest, Black Cobra, and Beamsy, my middle boy, they beat us 3. Yeah, they beat us 3 up. They won by 3 holes.
Wow.
So they beat me and Bootsy. And Bootsy gets shots. And then on Saturday, Peyton, my oldest, and I went out. And it was just the two of us, and usually we have the other two. And I said, well, okay, let's go. And he goes, well, Dad, do you mind if I just play from the junior tees? And I said, no. I said, you know what? That's great. I'll play from there. So I'll play from the junior tees as well. So we played from the junior tees. We played 7 holes, and he legitimately beat me. Legitimately beat me. He basically hits driver like between 130 and 150 straight every time. And it's pretty ridiculous. And the only thing that I gave him, some shots, but not much. And he just hits it straight. Like he doesn't hit it left, right. He just hits it straight. So that happened a lot sooner than I was hoping that would happen. I was hoping that would be much later in life.
Well,
as opposed to 9 and a half.
If we need to keep him humble, you can bring in old Uncle Z, and we'll have a little match. We'll have the match.
Yeah.
And we'll
we'll
let him know there's still room to grow.
Well, yeah, and I feel like he's had some humbling experiences, so it's good for him to have a win from time to time. Have we discussed the match, by the way? And I understand this is Cleveland Browns Daily, and we will do a lot of football, but have we discussed the match at Big
No,
Sky?
and I didn't get to watch it
because we were off, right?
I didn't get to watch it in its entirety. I was I was tubing with the kids up in Michigan, Ohio State. That's for you.
Okay.
And we were having a great time, so I did not get to watch it entirety. I did TiVo it, which is for those people old enough to remember TiVo.
Sure.
That's I would use that as like a like a Kleenex, same type of a thing. So I did. It is on my DVR, and I did watch.
Bless you.
A little bit of the and then I saw obviously Baker's clip on there, and I've seen some of the highlights of it, and I want to sit down and watch it in its entirety because I found the banter to be incredible. And Montana looked great. My home state looked great.
Your home state really shined. In fact, the only correspondence you and I had about it was you saying that your dad was upset for how good his home state looked because now more people will want to come to his home state, which he is not a fan of.
That's right.
He wants
Keep him out.
People moving to his home state. Keep him out. So he was not a fan of how good it looked. It's interesting. I think when you watch it, you will not think that the banter is that great.
Really?
I think that it was better in highlight form than in actuality.
Okay.
I found it to be at times a little bit boring, quite frankly, and I think that you really missed. So this is the first. I did not watch the one with Charles Barkley that Mickelson did. I watched the original one with Manning and Woods, and that was awesome.
Yeah. Justin Thomas, right?
Manning's great on the mic, and Manning's talkative. And the other person who's really talkative was Justin Thomas.
Right.
So you had Justin Thomas on the course who was great. So you kind of had a lot of that stuff. What I come away with this is Tom Brady likes doing this, and he has a place out there at Big Sky. That's a track you can play, that Moonlight Basin. He's at the Yellowstone Club, which you can't play, and you can't set foot on unless you have some sort of retina scanner. But it appears to me that he does these things just to do TB12. That's it. Like, he just pushes TB12 because he's not great in comparison to the other players, and Rodgers lapped him. Rodgers lapped him just lapped the field with him as a player. And honestly, Rodgers carried DeChambeau a lot. I think they used Rodgers' drives like 7 of the first 8.
Wow.
Because DeChambeau was spraying
What's
it all over
Rodgers'
the place.
handicap?
I don't remember it. I mean, the kids are around, so I can't say that I remember them
he was like
saying.
a 3, but Brady called him a 1, and then he was like, no, that's Super Bowls or something like that. Did that really happen?
Lines. I don't remember that line. I think Rodgers really wanted to beat Tom. Go ahead, Gibby.
Rodgers handicapped 3.5, Tom Brady 8.1.
Yeah, and then Rodgers was like, or Brady. I saw a clip.
Like Sims is better than Brady. I think Sims is better than Brady.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Agent of the Stars. Good for you.
Yeah.
So apparently he said to him at one point, he said, somebody questioned about the handicaps, and I think he said, yeah, I'm an 8. Somebody said, Rodgers like, I'm a 3 or an 8. He's like, no, I'm a 7 and you're a 1. And Rodgers like, what? He goes, I'm talking about Super Bowl rings. Something like that.
Yeah.
Some type of wicked
A lot
bird.
of that stuff seemed contrived. DeChambeau, while more likable than he normally is, his stuff still seemed contrived to me.
Okay.
The most interesting
don't
thing
watch
was Brian
it, you're
Anderson
saying.
was on the play, but well, I think you'll enjoy it for the golf. Like if I were you, I would just fast forward till they get to the tee.
Okay.
And Phil's great, but I think you'll enjoy the fact of them standing on the back tees where you were playing from, and it being 777 yards, and going, wow, that's pretty cool, and you can drive it 500, 600 yards because if you hit the slope, it's gone. So I think you'll enjoy that.
I want to see the course. Sure.
Yeah, the course is stunning. From a banner standpoint, I mean, Anderson pressed Rodgers on, kind of where are you going to be this date and where will you be this date? And then Rodgers, of course, played in Tahoe over the weekend and was pressed again. And I was thinking about this as this kind of comes full circle to the NFL. We are now, what the hell day is today? July 13th?
Yep.
We're July 13th. And if you're redrafting the NFL and there's no restriction on it, 2 of the first 5 picks for next season are Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers, and there's no certainty with either one. And it's been just completely silent on Watson for months, and it's almost widely acknowledged that he's not playing. He's not playing this season. And he is a 25-year-old or thereabouts franchise quarterback who, if you were redrafting the league, would go in the top 5, and we've heard nothing in months. And Rodgers is saying, well, we'll find out in a couple of weeks. We're going to have to, because camp's in a couple of weeks, pal.
Yeah. We're going to have everybody will be in this building in 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, everybody's back in this building. We said yesterday.
It's crazy.
As far as we're concerned, the 2021 season has started. We are underway. We're we're loading up before the plane really takes off, which will start in training camp, but we're on the runway. Let's go. But it's wild.
Yeah.
That's not even resolved.
I came away, and we're not going to get resolution on Watson.
No.
I'm convinced.
Correct.
I think that he's just not going to play. They're not going to address it. He's not going to address it. I think it's just a lost year, for him. And next year he'll play, and that's it, which is, I don't know that there's precedent for that in sport. Can you think of it?
No. I mean,
without some sort of adjudication, Adrian Peterson was suspended.
Sure.
Watson has not been suspended by the league.
Correct, and it is just 100%.
He's not been.
Right.
Kobe was on trial for this and played while on trial.
Yep.
Kobe was on trial for worse than what's been accused of Watson, and played while he was on trial. Different era, I understand, but still. So that just being out there, and then Rodgers, I kind of came away listening to him at the match in Montana, and then at the stuff I heard from Tahoe. I kind of think he's just going to play for the Packers.
That's where I'm at. I mean, what else? He doesn't have a choice,
right? I think he's just going to play for the Packers. And this is all a big bunch of nonsense.
Peyton Manning last night at the Home Run Derby was asked about it. He goes, I'd be shocked if he played for Denver. He goes, I personally want to see him stay with Green Bay.
Well, it's just not, at this point, it just doesn't seem feasible to do it. If it was going to happen, it should have happened at the draft.
Yeah, it had to happen that day, which is probably why they pressed it, why it got leaked. Because do it now. Now's when you can get assets. It's such a hard deal to do now. It just feels like he'll be playing for the Packers after all of this offseason of how weird it's been.
So, which is a much ado about nothing and would be no fun. But keep him out of the AFC. So I prefer him playing for the Packers to him playing for the Broncos or anybody in our conference.
Yeah, I would as well. And I got to tell you, our guy 6 with back to the just last finishing ribbon on the match, a satin. Was that a satin? At one point, what did Barkley say? Was that a bathrobe? You had a bathrobe?
I did. Have we
and
ever
then I
heard?
saw him at the fight. Where's he? Is he a one-man silk shirt machine?
I don't know what's going on. I didn't know what that shirt was. Looked like that looks like a man who was very comfortable with his place.
Clearly,
guy who's very confident. That's a shirt of a confident man. That's what I took away from it. Very confident man.
Yeah, very. It was just. I remember being in about the. We're all men. We're 40. I would say like 6th or 7th grade. Do you guys remember when silk shirts were a thing?
Boy, do I. I had a ton of them. Are you kidding?
Come on.
I had some Z Cavaricis.
So strong.
And then
Yes,
I'd roll a silk like like a wine, like a burgundy silk shirt. Oh.
They were always burgundy or else like jade.
Jade shirt. You get a teal in there.
A nice jade.
I had a black silk shirt that I actually really enjoyed.
Of course you did.
I would have loved to have seen
what
you
happened?
out. I would have made fun of you like the world was.
No, what do you mean? It was the coolest then.
No,
we
were
beyond
shoot
reproach.
That down right now.
No, we were beyond reproach. We were at the peak of coolness.
Make fun.
The silk shirt, by the way, was very breathable. It was a breathable fabric.
I do remember one of the downsides. Well, I had to be older than.
It wasn't a breathable
grade.
fabric. Sweat would be profuse and stain everywhere, and you could see it all. I was being a little facetious.
That was just. You know exactly where I was going.
Yes.
And it just occurred to me that I was older than 6th or 7th grade because I was definitely through puberty, and I remember going, "Oh boy, this is not great here."
No.
And then you were cooked at that point, literally.
Yeah, sweat. Yeah. Any perspiration.
That was
went
probably
right
the
through.
undoing.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't.
That
It wasn't practical.
That probably did the silk shirt in.
Silk shirt, but it was the best. I even had, and I believe I am recalling correctly, like they had silk ties at the time. Ties are silk anyway now, but you wore a silk tie that had that kind of same looseness to it with the silk shirt.
It did. It was kind of a flowy.
Yeah. It was really something.
A little bit of a Pirates of the Caribbean flow to it. You know, you could really get out there and move around a little bit, but it certainly was cool.
Yeah, you definitely could move. Oh, yeah. Because it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, until it got weighed down with the sweat. Then it was something. Gibby, you would have been great. A man of your size and stature,
you didn't.
The flowing silk would have been just spectacular on you.
It used to be a joke.
Dominated.
I bet I would see you on West 6th.
What does that mean? That's where you'd be in a silk shirt?
I don't know what that means.
West
Probably.
So you're saying we'd be at the clubs, having the
We'd
time
be
of
where
our
the
lives,
people
where
were.
the people were,
now,
where the party
be
goers
us and
are.
Super Pimp. That's right. That's how we do. Just like that. Did you you saw this from Miss Britton Berry, AB's wife?
Oh boy,
Gibby putting
great
this
on Twitter.
This is fantastic. He's a huge board game nerd. We played Dominion last night. He loves Settlers of Catan, Seven Wonders. We played the Game of Thrones board game. Wait a sec.
What's that?
We played the Game of Thrones board game before watching the show. How have we not talked Thrones with him? Well, I guess, we'd handled all that with JC.
We did.
He wins all strategy games 98% of the time, so we have to throw in things like the Resistance. I am unaware. I've heard of the Catan one. The others I don't have any
never heard of
reference
any of
on.
this.
Do you?
No.
You've seen the Catan, or I don't even know how to say it, but you've seen that, right?
No.
You haven't seen that? You'll see it at like Walmart or something. Yeah?
I got Exploding Kittens. I got Play 9. I got Sorry. I got Monopoly. I got Life.
Yeah.
We got some classics. I don't have anything like this. I mean, I used to play Risk back in the day with my dad. That was a great game. Stratego, also a fine game, and really enjoyed Stratego. Battleship.
Was Stratego similar to Risk in that you just rolled and then whoever had the bigger number won? I don't remember.
I'm remembering it correctly, and I might not be, but you like one team, you had all these like things that kind of stood up, and they had pictures of your various dudes, and you had to like find their general or whatnot. Is that right?
That's the way I remember it too. And then you would come to a point where two people would meet, and then it was like who had the highest number, highest ranking would be victorious. It was how you set up.
I think so.
Yeah.
Risk was like the map of the
sort of
world, and it was very important to have the Ukraine.
Yeah.
The Ukraine was a great country. It opened up a lot of things If you could take control of Ukraine.
Ukraine is weak.
Ukraine is what? Ukraine is strong.
So strong.
Yes.
So strong.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. So that's good. That gets a good job out of her. Those were your OBM Hot Topics. Ohio Business Machine, preferred copier provider of the Cleveland Browns. All the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Major League Baseball All-Star Game is tonight. Is that? I said that with a question mark. Like, I'm not.
True, and it bumped the NBA to Wednesday. I thought we were Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, back like the good old days for the NBA Finals. But apparently,
every other day. Let's keep it moving. But no, that bumped it. So
bumped.
Nay.
The All-Star festivities were pretty good last night, though. We watched it. We had them on in the background. My buddy Vince is in town. We had those in the background. The Derby, which is a marathon. I mean, it is an unbelievably long event. Too long. And then the celebrity softball game, and the Miz, due to his knee injury, couldn't participate. But he was basically the MC and trash talker. He was in your role.
Well,
that's
perfect.
Reprising Beau Bishop from the Country Club of Hudson. But doing it for the celebrity softball game, which he was fantastic at it, no doubt.
Well, he would be. Yeah, he's a natural entertainer. Did you go to the Home Run Derby, either of you guys, when it was here?
No.
The last time, a couple years ago?
I was not at that.
97.
So
I've been to them before.
97 you did?
Yep.
Okay. So I think the problem that the Home Run Derby has, and I did not watch the one last night, so I'm not sure if this is the problem or not, but the one that was here, it was very clear that Vlad Guerrero Jr., that's what you remembered. In fact, I don't even know who won it. Did Pete Alonso win it? He might have. I don't know who won it here
He won
a couple
last
years
night.
ago.
He was hitting bombs.
Well, he's won a couple of them, and we didn't have one. It could have been, because would that have been 2018 it was here? 2019?
It was a couple years ago.
Last year's was out?
Yeah. I think it could have been
19. I feel like Pete Alonso might have won it. But what you remembered was Vlad Guerrero Jr. hit rockets out of the place. Rockets. And it was just a kind of like a battle of attrition, like who could survive the longest. It just kept going on and on. It was a great show, but it did just keep kind of going on and on and on. And if memory serves, I felt like Vlad Guerrero Jr. was really – that's the guy I remember from that night. I was there, and that's what I remember.
Pete Alonso was your winner at Progressive Field. Last year, no home run derby, canceled due to the pandemic.
I believe I had that. So 2019 they did it. Alonso won it.
Yep.
But Guerrero finished second, and really he may have actually hit more total home runs. I don't remember what it was, but I just remember walking away from it going, I feel a little cheated.
Yep.
Feels like Vlad Guerrero probably won this thing.
Vlad Guerrero in the second round in 2019 hit 40 bombs.
That's it.
40.
So a guy hits 40, and then that's it. Like, let's just walk. I'll see it on down the road. That's it. That's what it was. Because you walked away going, wait, he didn't win? No. There's one winner tonight, and it's Vlad Guerrero Jr. Yep. It was not Pete Alonso.
Right.
So, that's the tricky part. And we'll get to Otani and the All-Star break and all that stuff a little bit later on as we get things rolling a little bit. We have a pretty good idea that we could have something big coming from a uniform perspective here in the next couple of weeks. The Rams just bombed something today. They just dropped it today out of the clear blue sky. So we will get to that. We'll get to our big questions before we get into camp. We are off and running here on a Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Well, sometimes keeping your priorities straight can be a challenge. Unfortunately, the same can be true when you gamble. If you find your gambling is affecting other parts of your life, get a little help. Get some tips. Responsible gambling at keepitfunohio.com. So I have not been allergic to the social, although I minimized it over the time away.
Same.
But I did see a little bit of a tease potentially for of some plans. It looks like we've seen some things, so that's exciting. And we look. What is that? 24.
11 days.
11 days.
That's right.
On that front. So that's very exciting on our end.
Pay attention to the scores. You know what you're ready.
Well, I try to have a nice blend of scores and purposeful vagueness.
That's right.
For the people.
I like that. Smart.
Because you never know who's listening. So you don't want to be, a little bit of vagueness for the people from time to time. Lead them to the water, and then you drink on your own. So we've seen the 49ers. Stunning. As they're bringing back the 94.
Of course, which is one of the great
probably
uniforms.
the greatest Niners and probably the greatest Niners team of all time.
Yep.
And so they're honoring that 94 team with those
Steve
uniforms.
Young, really good.
Yep. I know it's hard for me being, a Bay Area kid who loved Montana so much to admit that, but I will on this show now.
Smart.
Just, that team had no holes. And beat really probably the best team that you could ever play in a Super Bowl to win the Super Bowl.
Many people thought that, they went in as they were the biggest underdogs ever, the Niners were in that game against Stan Humphries and the Chargers?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that team was a juggernaut.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I think when you look back historically, say greatest team to not win it was probably the 94 Chargers.
It's them, then the undefeated Patriots.
That's it. That's the list.
That's how I see
Those
it.
are the two. I agree. Yep. And it's a tough pill to swallow. So those uniforms will be cool. And then I see the Rams drop these buttes today, and they're in homage. So there's a couple of things you can do here when you do a uniform, and you do a one-off or you do an alternate or whatever. You can pay homage to past teams by wearing exactly what they wore.
That's right.
And that's oftentimes that's the smart move. Just wear what was worn previously because nostalgia is a powerful thing, right? It's potent.
Yep.
The other thing you can do is you can try to do something that's completely different than anything that you've ever worn before. So my
Falcons.
49ers did this in the black. The 49ers, the Falcons tried doing this with this absurd gradient that we've seen. And those either hit or miss. It doesn't feel like there's a middle ground. Those are either wildly popular or disasters. There's been some really popular ones. There's been some unmitigated disasters.
That's right.
The Rams tried to do with this, I think, kind of what the Vikings and Lions tried to do, which is a modern take on a classic combination. And when I saw it today, I just thought, because they have the one that's like the sand bone color, just get rid of that
altogether.
And wear this, and now you got it. Like, this isn't it. That's all you got to do. Wear this one. This is the one.
No, you're right, and it invokes the greatest show on turf. You could see Isaac Bruce and Kurt Warner and Torrey Holt and Falk running around in this uniform, and yet it's got kind of more the modern numbers
Dickerson?
that they're using. It's a beaut. It's great. The bone one, not great. I will say it grew on me as the season went on. It became less obnoxious to me, as did the Falcons' monochromatic uniforms became less obnoxious to me as the season went on. Their one with the whatever that's called, mauve or the two-tone or whatever it is, was just
the gradient was
absurd, retire that.
I think the Rams, when you're working with that bright blue and gold, you have to try really hard to screw that up.
Yeah.
I mean,
they did.
That takes a lot of effort to blow that. I mean, it's the same thing with the Falcons, honestly, like black and red and silver.
And white.
Come on, that's a layup.
It's a layup.
Yeah.
Well, they said we want to invoke the shores of the California coast, the sand.
Yeah. Is it sand or bone? Which one is it?
They called it bone, but it was when their reasoning was it was the sand of L.A. It was the sand on the Pacific Ocean,
which is considerably darker. Like they're not in the panhandle of Florida.
More brown. Yeah, I would agree.
So yeah. But anyway, they get these pretty much right. They do a nice rollout with the video with Eric Dickerson involved. I thought that was cool.
It was good to see that. They've been at odds.
Yeah. A lot of talk about the Rams with over the last couple of weeks about the McVay, and then also with Shanahan saying, "Hey, can we get in on Stafford?"
Yeah.
How about that?
That was pretty good. Doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, clearly they were, not. It's not that they don't think Garoppolo can play, and he says we just don't know that we can count on him to be there, and that is.
I think they know that
fair.
There's limitations with him.
Right. But
right? I mean, that's clear.
They were
like he's a nice player. There's an Alex Smith quality to him,
sure.
even when he's healthy, to where there's a limit to what he can be. But he's good enough in their system with their talent to quarterback you to a Super Bowl. Now, maybe not win it.
They don't blow a coverage, they win the Super Bowl.
That game.
They don't blow a coverage, they win that Super Bowl.
And if he hits a guy.
Yep. Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah.
Or Chris Jones
so
doesn't bat down the pass that would have been – Kittle'd still be running.
Yeah. But there has been a lot of, and I've heard from a lot of guys and a lot of people who have played, either with Stafford or around him, that led to a lot of conversation that wildly underappreciated. And that in this offense, with this talent, you will finally see what he is capable of. I think that is true. As you know, he's like a second son to me. Fourth son, I guess, considering I already have three.
That's right.
Maybe a long-lost nephew. But what I do think is that there is a tremendous amount of pressure on him. A tremendous. He's never played with, not since he was at Georgia, has he played with pressure like he's going to play with and expectations like he's going to play with this year in L.A.
Oh, without question. Even at the best in Detroit, when they had the couple playoff runs, it was still Detroit. They had been longing for greatness for so long. There are definitely high expectations. There are people who say just the notion that Matt Stafford is now a Ram, your singular addition makes them Super Bowl contenders, and or you could say, in some people are saying favorites. That means it's all, what's the change? It's you. Sean McVay has made it perfectly clear in all media. It wasn't me.
Yes.
It wasn't.
Absolutely.
Nobody caught on to what I was doing.
That kid, I said, it was Detroit.
That Goff kid. Remove the G. Yep. He was off. That's the problem.
He was off. Yep. Bring him in. And I think it's a really fascinating storyline for this year because you look at power rankings, they're consistently ahead of the Seahawks, ahead of the 49ers, which I think is so bold that you just paratroop him into L.A. and they're better than Seattle, better than the Niners.
Losing some
who've
key
been
pieces?
in that system for a long time. Yeah. No, I know. And a big part of their secondary obviously is going to play for us. So I don't know. I think it's a lot on him, and I think he'll play really well, but I do think it's the most pressure he's played in, since he was at Georgia.
He doesn't only have pressure for himself on this. He has the McVay pressure, too, because McVay has magically transferred all of his pressure onto Stafford.
Right. Yeah. 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 I mean, it's a tremendous amount. And I think he'll play really well. I think the system will fit him well. I think he'll love playing there with that system. But it's still a lot. And that's them being good is about so much more than him, and their losses defensively are not quite being given the proper attention.
We went through this, and the notion, and now McVay's going to say, well, that's because I'm so good. And maybe right, he might be right about that. But Goff, in 2018, 4,700 yards, 32 touchdowns, 12 picks. The next year, 4,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 16 picks. But the difference was, again, remember, once they lost Brandon Cooks, who was when they had a vertical receiver who spaced the field, which was 17 and 18, Goff throws for 60 touchdowns, 19 picks total. Averages over 8 yards an attempt. When they lost somebody who could spread the field, and all of a sudden Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, who are very similar guys, you didn't have that vertical guy, his yards per attempt dropped by a yard. He throws 42 touchdowns and 29 interceptions. The compression of the field. So Goff's the guy that you say, okay, tight window throws, a little bit tougher when everybody can congest our area and we're limited to really 20-yard increments.
Yep.
It's harder to play quarterback. It just is. It just is.
Yep.
But Stafford can throw it into tight windows. We know that. They brought in Desean Jackson, so they're hoping that they can, Desean Jackson, even at this age.
They drafted your guy, right? Isn't Tutu Atwell there?
Tutu Atwell's there, but he's so little. I had no idea how little that guy was.
Yeah.
But he's fast.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, you just need the threat of it. It's like what we're hoping for Schwartz.
Yep.
Like just 10 times a game, run a 9 and just go, oh, yeah, that's what he's capable of.
It's kind of a stunning thing to me. I'm fascinated by them. I would have loved them. I know they were just a Hard Knocks team. I would have loved to once again watch that because it's just wild to see what that looked like for him. You know, and what that would look like, McVay, and how he would treat Stafford. Because remember the Hard Knocks we watched about how great Goff had been and what an offseason he had and how he's got total command of the offense.
Oh, my gosh.
It's all fluff pieces, obviously, but still.
I just remember him like at his putting green in his backyard, like in Thousand Oaks or whatever, going, well, that's a long way from Auburn Hills, buddy. It's a long ways.
That's right.
It's a tough go.
That's right.
Tough go. Yeah. I mean, I think if you're Stafford, it's the one thing that he does that they can't have is throw the picks. So will he not do that there, which is something he did, in Detroit? A lot of people say, well, he was chasing games, more risky. Can he play within himself and have that touchdown to interception that you're looking for out of him, like the one that you mentioned with Goff? I do. I think they're one of the more fascinating teams, to say the least. As for us, big questions to get to. We have 10 questions in no particular order. Question number 2 coming up next in terms of things we want discussed heading into camp. We get into that coming up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Go ahead.
You're hot.
When you're dedicated to bringing the best value to your customers, you got to do a little work. So when it comes to the mattresses, well, they really outdid themselves. They searched the entire country to find the best factory with the best warranties and now the latest technology in mattresses for a fraction of the cost. Northeast Factory Direct has you covered. King, queen, twin, full, bunk bed, mattresses, box springs, and more. If it's for bedding, they got it. Right now, stop in. Take your photo with Flat Alex for a chance to win a $500 gift card. Flat Alex, it's amazing. Bootsy will absolutely love that when I take him in there. Just tag Northeast Factory Direct on Facebook or Instagram to be entered into the drawing. Check them out, West 140th Street in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, or Freeway Drive in Macedonia. Shop them online anytime at northeastfactorydirect.com. So what was question number one that you guys tackled yesterday?
Question number one yesterday was, what is the most pressing storyline or the biggest storyline headed into training camp? And we were all pretty much in agreement that it was some variation of how quickly can the defense gel, who's going to emerge for playing time. It's all about the defense. And I think the defense is, you can take a lot of different angles on it, but the defense is the biggest storyline headed into training camp.
I think it's the biggest storyline for us, certainly. I would say that nationally will be the return of Odell, will be the big national one that gets a lot of juice, because we saw how much juice that got with him just running routes and how excited we all were to see him run routes. And I do think there is this element to him of just if he gets a season, if he plays a season. I think nationally that one is going to get a lot of attention if he's, kind of on the way to where he looked. And I've seen some of the videos over the last couple of weeks. He looks great.
He does look great.
But I agree with you. From our perspective, without question, that's it on the defensive side. So today's question for us is, which position could be the most improved? I mean, I think it's one of the two secondary, and you can make an argument for corners or safeties. I think both apply.
I said you could really – I think you could almost make a case for any of the position groups on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. I am going to go with the cornerbacks. And I think you're right. When it came down to it, my top two were either corner or safety, and safety would be, John Johnson and the return of Grant Delpit. But when you look at corner and you think about – your top snap player on your team last year was Money Mitch, and losing him is in no way addition by subtraction. Love that man, 39. Love you. But he played a ton for you. Kevin Johnson played a ton for you. Tavier Thomas played a ton for you. Robert Jackson started a playoff game for you a year ago. The only people who played any kind of meaningful snaps, other than Jackson, that was after the season, that played meaningful snaps for you during the season prior to Week 17 were Denzel and MJ Stewart. And so you take Greedy Williams comes back. He was the Browns' second-round pick, a full-time starter opposite, Denzel as a rookie in 2019. He brings size. He brings speed. He's looked great in the early portion of the offseason. He's got a lot of work opposite Denzel with the starters. Then you bring in Troy Hill in free agency. Led the NFL with 3 defensive touchdowns a year ago. Top nickel, one of the top nickels of Pro Football Focus, was the starting nickel for the top-ranked Rams pass defense and overall defense. And then in the draft, you added Greg Newsome with the 26th pick. So that's in 2020, the guy allowed as many completions, 10, as he had passes defense. He allowed 1 completion of more than 10 yards in the air all year in the Big Ten. He led FBS in quarterback rating allowed against. I mean, he was lockdown, and that was the Browns' target. They got him. So Ward and Williams, they're your exclusively outside guys. Hill is inside but has outside versatility. Newsome has gotten snaps in the slot along with Greedy and Denzel. The Browns now, when you add MJ Stewart to this, think about it, 4 first or second round picks.
Crazy.
In your top 5 corners, plus Hill, who's been very productive and is probably a starter. I think you got elite pedigree. I think it's got an opportunity to be one of the best coverage groups in the NFL. You have versatility. You have scheme flexibility in terms of guys who can play man, guys who can play zone. You've got speed. You have guys who will come up and tackle. I think we can play some dime. Everybody's so focused on the 3 safety dime, but I wouldn't be surprised at all in Week 1 against Kansas City at some point. We run out there with Newsome and Hill inside, Denzel and Greedy outside, and say, you are not going to run by us. Like, it's not happening.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think it's probably that. I think you could make an argument at safety with a healthy Grant Delpit and with John Johnson, who we've said many times on the show, I don't even know if our own fan base is aware of how good he is. He's a top 5 safety in the league. So even if Delpit is not right away what he will be, we believe that he will be, Harrison and Johnson is an elite group. So you went from kind of middle to the back of the pack at safety a year ago, although Harrison, when healthy, when he was out there, gave us such an immediate boost, to I think you had a chance to be top 10 in the NFL on the back end in safety. I think by what you just laid out, I think you'd be top 10 at corner too. It's funny because you could also make that argument at linebacker with the addition of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, with the addition of Anthony Walker, and you say, well, those guys are going to play a lot of snaps, and they could end up playing the most snaps by the time it's all said and done at that position. I think what's the most amazing thing about this and I was talking to Uncle Tom this morning about this, and I said, Tom, it's a top 5-4 roster in the NFL. That's
right.
just what it is. And what I'm saying is, and he goes, I just need to hear you say it. And I'm like, oh, I'm saying it. That's what it is. That's how good this group is. It's that good. And what I would say is what's most amazing is that Andrew Berry looked at this in year one and said, we have got to put our quarterback in the best position to succeed, and they did it. And in year two, he said, we have got to get better and more versatile defensively, and he did it. He addressed exactly what was needed. He took weaknesses and made them strengths. That is almost impossible to do in the NFL in 2 off seasons, and he did it. And so when you have this question of what position could be the most improved, the entire defense is going to be most improved. But you can go linebacker, safety, and corner. It's a little tougher on defensive line, and you added Clowney, for crying out loud. So
but
you could. I think Sheldon was great, though. I think Sheldon was really great. I think Olivier was really good too. So it's that group played really well last year.
Your depth, though, is better.
The back seven, without question. And the back seven, it's night and day.
Night and day. I just wanted to throw this out there because I think this is so interesting. You talk about remaking the defense, and I said, look, you can have a legitimate starting and a defense that I think would rank in the top half of the NFL if this was our starting defense, which would be Tack McKinley and Clowney at the ends, Billings and Malik Jackson at the interior, Walker and JOK are your linebackers. Your corners are Greg Newsome and Greedy outside, Troy Hill inside. Your safeties, John Johnson and Grant Delpit.
All guys who didn't play.
Not one snap for the Cleveland Browns last year.
Jeez. Not
one snap. And you still get to add Miles, and you get to add Ronnie, and you get to add Denzel Ward to those guys. And you're in, not to mention, other guy, Jordan Elliott, people thinking the 3 young linebackers, Taki and Mack and Phillips and Malcolm Smith, who played well for you last year. Yep. But one of the things I said yesterday, and we didn't get to talk about it, obviously, was AB – the foresight to say, okay, we're going to try to patch this up for a year on one-year deals, but we really like the free agent crop, and we really like the draft class coming up. So we're going to be able to really turn this defense over. We're going to have – first of all, I don't think there are any other teams in the NFL that would have a nickel defense of guys that played – or maybe can even put together an entire nickel defense of guys that didn't play a snap for him last year on defense, let alone guys that are all – studs like that we would be able to do. You think about our top 16, 17 rotation, 11 of them are going to be new, at least.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and the versatility and the flexibility. But here, I'm just going to throw some numbers and some names. Terrence Mitchell, 1,225 snaps. No longer here, sad. Andrew Sendejo, 999 snaps. Not here. B.J. Goodson, 937. Not here. Sheldon Richardson, love him, sad, 920. Not here. Myles Garrett, 875. He's back. That was 5th most defensive snaps a year ago. Denzel Ward, 822.6. He's back. Vernon, 8057. Not here and injured, unfortunately. Played great for us last year. Carl Joseph, 781. Not here. Ogunjobi, 747. Not here. Kevin Johnson, 624. Not here. Adrian Claiborne, 534. Not here.
That's it. That's why, and you can make. That's why it's the number one in terms of, for us, the most important thing is how quickly can this all come together. And when you do today's question, which position, I think you have it right. I think it's corner. But you can make a straight-faced argument on any position of the defense. And you're not wrong. And so the only one, and you would maybe D-tackle, just because Sheldon was such a dude for us and played so many snaps. But those young guys, you believe in them. And you like what you see. But you could easily, linebacker, D-end, with the idea we have Clowney is crazy. But you have it right.
McKinley.
It's corner is the right answer. Corner is the right answer. But safety's right there. It's right there And I think you have you're in this position now at corner and safety when you're going to look back and you're going to go, boy, that should be top 10 in the league at corner in the secondary. We should be.
Yeah, and we have a chance to be what I think a truly, truly elite defense because our back end is going to be so good at coverage. We have speed, we have versatility, we have flexibility, and we have a front end that's built to get after the quarterback. I mean, we have a defense that has the chance to play together, and as Jadeveon Clowney said, when you have the back end covering and the front end getting after it, when you have that harmony, you just go and you can wreck people. And this defense has the opportunity to do that. And that's why I think from a statistical standpoint, we have an opportunity, I think, to rack up a ton of sacks, a ton of interceptions, because, frankly, we're good, and we should be ahead. And I don't think you want to be in 3rd and long against our team. I don't think you want to be in the second half. Last year, people's best strategy sometimes was to get down by 30, and we couldn't stop them from throwing the ball. We couldn't do it. Now?
No.
I think we will, and I think we will have some big blowouts as a result of that.
I also think from a fan base perspective to remember remember offensively last year that it took some time. It took a little time for everybody to kind of get on the same page, and I think it'll be similar this year defensively. You're going to play the most explosive team in the NFL week 1. So the notion that this defense is all going to be on the same page week 1, the good news is it's an 18-week season and 17 games.
Yep.
So you're going to have some time to kind of sort these things out because the amount of new faces, pretty remarkable. By the way, every day on Browns.com, be sure to check out Z, Gribbs, and Browns writer Anthony Pozal. Have I met him?
Maybe.
I have not met him yet.
Probably not. But he was here as like an intern, I feel like, for training camp a couple of years ago.
Did I say his name right? Pozal?
Poisal. Calling him Anthony. AP.
Tone?
We'll call him AP.
Little Tone?
Yeah. Tone Loke. The funky.
Oh, we're calling him AP now.
AP.
Calling him AP now?
Yeah. There's only one AP in the but he's actually AD, so AP is still available. Yeah.
It is still available. They will break down the question of the day. Coming up at the top of the hour, all sorts of running back rankings to sort through. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily, second hour of the program. I want to talk to you about my friends at EOX Vantage. Here's what they do. They connect core systems that don't talk. From reporting and analytics to insight and decision-making, you can gain a more complete real-time picture of your business, and you can eliminate the Excel nightmares from business processes and visualize your important data all in one place. How simple is that? Gain real-time insight to make data-driven decisions on performance through role-based visualization dashboards. With EOX Vantage, you can benefit from lower overall costs, better alignment between technology and specific business needs. Scalability, ease of deployment, and management also apply there. EOX Vantage makes your data work smarter to move your business forward. You're all about growth. Your software should be too. With EOX Vantage, your company will scale effortlessly. Local presence but global footprint, trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. Speaking of brands, our running back room, among the best, I think, ever. We talked about this last year going into the season. I think it holds up to this point. I think it's as good as any running back room that the NFL has ever trotted out.
Agreed.
So we have various groups breaking down best running backs in the NFL. So our guy Sam Monson actually has both of our guys in the top 10.
As
it should be.
Yeah,
that's case close.
Yeah.
So he's got Chubb 4, Kareem at number 10. So there's all sorts of different ways of doing this. Jeremy Fowler, he surveyed more than 50 league executives, coaches, and scouts. So this is an interesting way to do it because it's not his opinion, but rather the opinion of the people he solicited. They had Nick Chubb number 4. Highest ranking was 2. Lowest ranking, I can't imagine he's 8 on any. That's hard for me to wrap my head around. And they gave Kareem Hunt an honorable mention. But one GM did say, or one AFC executive did say this, he might be the best overall back in Cleveland. He's a combination of Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry. Yeah, he's really good.
He's great.
NFL.com's Maurice Jones-Drew only ranked RB1, so he has Chubb number 5 on that list. Who would you say definitively, if you were to do this, who do you say definitively is better than our guys? I mean, the only one that you could say that's more accomplished, I mean, you could say a couple are probably more accomplished, but Derrick Henry, the last couple of years has just been such a sure thing.
Yes.
I wouldn't trade our guys for anybody.
No.
Especially considering their age and their lack of work rate because they can split carries.
Right, and to have 2 to know that as the insurance policy that it is should one get injured is unbelievable. Derrick Henry is great. Dalvin Cook is great. He's got to run at 70-plus yards. He's dominant. He can run in short yardage. He can take it from anywhere. He can catch the ball. What McCaffrey was doing back-to-back years, over 2,000 total yards as a receiver, he's pretty legendary. I think Alvin Kamara is an incredible dual-threat running back as well.
It's interesting on McCaffrey. It's like, a lot of times our guys will get nicked for the injury stuff that's happened. It's like it's ignored with McCaffrey.
He's only missed 1 year,
people
though.
Forget.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, though. Like, that's tough. I mean, that's like Saquon. McCaffrey's more proven than Saquon, but, like, you start to wonder if that's kind of who you are. That's a big year for McCaffrey, I guess is my point. It's a very
I think
big
so.
year.
I'm pretty confident in his ability to bounce back. Saquon, not as confident. And Saquon's best year, as good as it was, his rookie year, wasn't even close to McCaffrey's 2 good years.
No.
So he's been – I wouldn't trade our duo for anybody. 2 for 1, not a chance. I think I would love to see what Nick Chubb would do getting Derrick Henry's workload.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty wild to me.
I'd like to see what Kareem would do.
Sure, we saw it, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Led the league in rushing in Kansas City, and he can catch it. He can score. He can do it all. So, yeah, I do think, though, take Kamara, Chubb, McCaffrey, Cook, Henry, and I'll throw Kareem in there. That's really just a spectacular group of running backs. And you can go back and forth and try to say, I like this, I like that. That's fine. There are elite running backs in this league, and I think Saquon's got to prove that he can get back into that group. But, there's a difference between the Aaron Joneses, who is very good, and Chris Carson and a Josh Jacobs, and now you're getting into Eckler and Zeke Elliott and I like Joe Mixon a lot. I think Joe Mixon's going to have a real, real nice season, but Gibbe does not.
He didn't play last year.
No, he didn't play last year. So we'll see.
I mean, I had both him and McCaffrey, which could lead to my bitterness.
Yeah, it certainly could. Certainly good.
Sad. Hate to see it. Hate to see it. But no, I think that's we have two guys. You know, we always talk in baseball. You talk about 5-tool players. We have 2 5-tool running backs. I don't know that Nick Chubb gets as much credit for how good he is out of the backfield. I don't know if Kareem Hunt gets as much credit. I think people forget he led the league in rushing. I do.
Yeah.
I think people gloss over that. I just think that it happened, and it's like that was in another lifetime. Well, no, it's not. He's still capable of that. And we have them both. I think it's, you want to do that comment about, big question in terms of going into – I'm fascinated to see what we do with these two guys.
Agreed.
If they both stay healthy and what they're capable of. And I think Kevin Stefanski's job and AVP's job, it's an enviable job because the amount of talent offensively is quite stunning. The fact that everybody's back is quite stunning. Like, that does not happen in the league. But it's also a very difficult job. And I can just say, you guys out there, you're going to get the Madden game when it comes out. You go to play with the Browns, and you're playing your game. You try and divvy up your touches. Try to feed everybody. It ain't easy.
No, and that's why, we keep talking about up-tempo. Let's try to get 80 plays on offense.
I think that's it.
But at the same time, if we can wear people down and squeeze the football and then just strangulate them defensively as well, that's a pretty good path to success also. I just think we can play both sides of the ball now in any way possible. You want to go for a shootout, we can go shootout with you. You want to slow it down and try to get physical, we'll get physical with you. You want to get nasty, we'll get nasty. Whatever the game calls for, we are capable of doing, and we're capable of dictating through personnel on both sides of the ball now who you need to have on the field. Offensively, we did that last year. We were able to do that last year. We can do that again this year. Defensively, we did not have the ability to do that last year. We have the ability to do that this year.
Yeah, that was the end of the Bengals game where we just went Kareem here.
Yeah.
And it was when we played him here. And it was like, I don't really know what you do. Like, you've given somebody this battering ram of Nick Chubb throughout a game, and then now you give him a fresh Kareem Hunt, and he's not, I think for people who don't watch us play all the time, and I think Kareem gets slighted in terms of how good he is, I think they forget what a punishing runner he is. He's so physical. He seeks contact. He wants to knock you over, and he can jump over you if he needs to. The idea that they're both there, we're in a very, very fortunate position. It's a big part of why we're so confident about where this roster is and what the expectations for this team are going into this season, because these two guys are there. It's the ultimate insurance policy, and in a way, the ultimate weapon if they're both healthy.
It is, and you brought up that there was a time prior to Chubb's injury when Kareem had to take on that bigger workload for a few weeks where he was averaging, it was something like 9 to 10 yards a carry in the fourth quarter for the first quarter of the season, which
that's right,
was just absurd. You beat up this defense, and then you bring in, here's a guy who led the league in rushing the last time he was a full-time starter. He's going to come run over you now, and that was the formula, and we have the ability to run that formula back. There was a stat that I thought as we were going through some things yesterday that I came across from looking at some of my game previews or whatever, and it was for the Chiefs game. The Browns were 11-0 last year when leading at the half with that defense. Mm-hmm. Think about that.
Jeez.
And the Browns were 11-0 when they were neutral or won the turnover battle.
Pretty straight line.
Very straight line, and now we're better than we've ever been in terms of talent.
Yes.
Our good friend Mike Clay from ESPN, as we talk about all these running back ratings, with an interesting tweet today. Ezekiel Elliott is only 5 months older than Nick Chubb.
Wow.
Jeez.
How about them apples?
Well, Zeke played the 3 true years at Ohio State and was gone. So he must have been young, too. Because Zeke's been in the league since 2016.
Yeah, 5 years.
So he played the 3. And Chubb had the injury because he blew out his knee at Georgia. Right. So Chubb must have been at Georgia 5 years. And that's how that works. Yeah. Well, Kareem can't be that much older than Chubb then. They got to be pretty close.
I would think they are pretty close. So let me look real quick on this. On the Fowler one gives all the ages, which I think it's fun to do. We looked at the defensive ends yesterday. Miles was number 1 in this one that Fowler did around all the executives. In
Kareem Hunt is 25.
All these guys are 25. It's wild. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, 27. Kamara, 25. Dalvin, 25. Chubb, 25. McCaffrey, 25. Saquon, 24. Zeke, 25. Aaron Jones, 26. Mixon, 24. Jacobs, 23.
I remember Jacobs being young because that was a big part of his drafting was that he was so young. And really
Jonathan Taylor's going to be in these lists by next year, my prediction.
I do not share the same optimism about Mixon.
Dude, he's so good.
When he's on the field, he's such a dude. But
when he's on the field.
No, I think it's valid. I think it's fair.
Last year, yes, he missed some time. But you can think about this.
Well, it's also weird around him, too, Z. Last year with him was weird. Like, is he going to play or not?
Yes.
Maybe this week. Nobody knew what was going on.
Gio Bernard had to help me get a couple things. But the 2 years prior to that, 1,400 and plus total yards, 9 touchdowns, 13 starts, 15 starts. I mean, a running back's going to miss a game here or there. But he had 2 pretty full seasons.
I think the thing to keep an eye out for with these guys, and you mentioned they're all around the same age, and you mentioned Jonathan Taylor. So Jonathan Taylor, had he played his senior season at Wisconsin, would have obliterated the NCAA all-time rushing mark. I mean, he's basically 2,000 yards every year at Wisconsin, freshman year on. So he's accumulated almost 6,000 yards, I want to say, rushing at Wisconsin.
Jeez.
So he's had a lot of carries. Ezekiel Elliott came to the league 2 seasons at Ohio State, and that was it. Derrick Henry has gotten a pretty heavy workload. Now, be it not right away, because he's one of those guys who wasn't great right away. It took a minute. But the way that they've used him the last couple of years, and the way that he was used at Bama, although albeit not in the national semifinal against Ohio State for reasons beyond any explanation, you wonder how long does he have it. Chubb, and this speaks, I think, very positively of Nick, although he's had some serious leg injuries. He shared the duties at Georgia, not only with Sony Michel at the end, but with Gurley early. So they were all together there at the same time. And he shared carries here the last couple of years with Kareem. So he hasn't been battered the way that some of these other guys have been despite his years in the league. And despite the fact he played 5 years at Georgia.
So just to give a little context to what you're saying, because I love this. Nick Chubb at Georgia in his career there, 758 rush attempts, 31 receptions. So add that up, we're right at basically 800 touches in college. Derrick Henry, believe it or not, at Alabama, 619 touches total.
Well, he was there with Damian Harris was there. He was there. I want to say Eddie Lacy was there. They didn't ride him. They really didn't. That comes back to Chubb being there 5 years. I want to say Chubb's freshman year, he was a monster at Georgia. Freshman or sophomore year, if you have his stats pulled up, either his freshman or sophomore year at Georgia, he was a monster.
Yes.
Then he hurt the knee, missed a year, and when he came back, it almost took 2 years to get back to where he was, and then he split with Sony Michel at the end. But he was there 5 years. He was a big-time contributor for 4 years at Georgia. Henry left after his junior season at Alabama.
Jonathan Taylor, 1,000 touches in 3 years.
There you go.
Chubb's first year, 2014, 219 rushes, 1,547 yards, 7.1 a carry, 14 touchdowns, 18 catches for 213 yards, 2 touchdowns. His second year, his sophomore year, prior to getting hurt in 6 games, 92 rushes, 747 yards, 8.1 yards a carry, 7 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a monster. The guy was an absolute monster. Yeah, he's the same age in school-wise. He's just a year behind Elliott.
Yep.
Because Elliott was a freshman in 2013 at Ohio State. And, boy, what all these guys around the same age, it's a little bit of a golden era that we're in right now with running back.
No doubt.
There's so many guys who are so good. and what do you decide to do with them? Major League Baseball All-Star Game is tonight. Get into that a little bit and have a little quarterback conversation at the bottom of the hour. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And I'm Beau Bishop for my friends at Weather Seal Home Services. Need a roof replacement? Would you like to replace your roof for the final time? Well, that's the benefit of choosing metal roof from Weather Seal. Metal roof technology, material, styles, and colors, they've improved significantly. They are beautiful, nearly indestructible, and affordable. Plus, with a new metal roof, and Weather Seal includes 100 feet of free extra-large gutters up to 7 years, 0 interest. That's right, 7 years, 0 interest on the financing on that. Give my guys a call at 877-351-SEAL or visit weathersealhomeservices.com for more. So today is the Major League. What have you been watching sports-wise, by the way, last 10 days or so? You watched the finals? Have you watched some of that?
I watched a little bit of the finals. I am looking forward to that, which is good to see. The Bucks won that one, so it gets a little competitive. I thought that environment in Milwaukee was pretty great. I do feel like
reminded me of here.
What? Yeah, just
reminded me of here when we had LeBron.
Yeah, the passion for it. It was funny. I was commenting to my buddy Vince, who's in town, who's basketball, I would call him expert, been involved with the game his whole life.
On your bachelor party,
Well,
and
that's
then a
what
little
the
bit
waffle.
of a waffle.
Except
And
that he can't shoot.
The waffle. Sad to see a man who could shoot.
Known accomplished basketball player, except he can't shoot, apparently.
Sad.
What'd
He
you say?
said.
Hate to see it.
Hate to see it. But Giannis, I haven't watched a ton of Giannis. I see highlights, but to watch a full game of it is stunning. He plays like a video game where you can just rim run. I'm going full speed towards the rim. He does what I think a lot of Cleveland fans back in the day wish LeBron did more, was just like go be more physical and just go in there and dominate. His inability to really shoot, I mean, he's better than Ben Simmons at free throws, obviously, is kind of stunning, but he is physically just on another planet.
Yeah, there is some early LeBron to this.
Yeah.
The first run here that does feel similar to. I think that he makes you think, much like LeBron did with Mo Williams and some others, he makes you think his teammates are better than they are.
Yeah, Middleton. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you're like, oh, Chris Middleton, he's an all-star. Is he? I don't know. Is Drew Holiday an all-star? I don't know. I don't know if he is. I mean, his presence elevates him so much. And yet, yeah, like you said, there's limits, but physically he's just so incredible to be able to do that. And it has been fun. I wish we had a great game. We haven't had a great game yet. Like we've had stretches, where it would get close, but we haven't had that great game. So hopefully we have one of those, coming up on this thing. Did you watch any of the soccer over the weekend?
Of course, I watched the entire Euro final, and Miss K was like, I didn't know you. Like I said, I will watch big-time international matches and, of course, the World Cup. I love the World Cup. And, you know, Croatia went out while we were on the air to Spain a little bit. But the environment in Wembley, with it being England trying to win their first big international tournament since 1966, they get up 1-0 early. It was incredible to see just the reaction. It felt like that would be in the first quarter if on the opening drive in a Super Bowl that was played in Cleveland. The Browns take the lead.
Yep. Right down and score.
Let me say this. I am no soccer strategist. My greatest probably knowledge base for soccer comes from being the most dominant FIFA player in the Sigma Chi fraternity from 97 to 2000. I was great. And
so great.
What I loved is I was always Italy or Juventus.
Sure.
And Del Piero.
Juve.
Del Piero.
Alessandro Del Piero.
And Inzaghi. Those were your strikers. You had Zidane from France was a midfielder for those Juve teams. And then to see him commentating was great. Juve, sorry. Del Piero was great. I have one of their kits, which is the black and white. It's a delightful
beautiful kit. Yeah.
So that's my knowledge base. But when you have the dominant scores that are on the pitch and you're up 1-0, and the other team doesn't really have a dominant goal scorer, go forward and still play.
Go.
They took themselves out of the game. They stopped playing. And you can't just – a team's going to be able to create, especially if you're playing all – it's not like they're up 2-0. They're up 1-0.
No.
And they have Keane. They have all those strikers. Like, go score and put it away.
It was weird. It would kind of be like if you, in the scenario you use, you go up 14-0 in the Super Bowl in the first half, and then you just run it and start milking clock in the third quarter. Instead of keep trying to score, that's kind of what they did. It was incredibly heartbreaking for England because now they've been to a World Cup semifinal, which this is all kind of uncharted territory for them. Like they won it in 66.
Yep.
They never get this far.
Nope.
So they get to the World Cup semifinals a couple of years ago when France won it. Now they get to a Euro final. Really, probably should have won it. I would say PKs are awesome drama. But I hate them. I hate it. I just think it stinks. And I hate that they almost play for it. They used this thing called a golden goal where you basically played like
till
hockey
somebody
does in the
scores.
Stanley Cup. Play till somebody scores.
Yes.
To me, I'd rather do that. I think it's really brutal. And if you want to add subs, if guys are smoked, fine. Add some subs. But it's almost like they start to play for PKs. And it's just – I just hate it for the guys who miss them. And some of the greatest – Roberto Baggio, speaking of Italy, missed one.
I remember that.
In 94 against Brazil, missed one, and he was never the same.
Did he go right over the top, or was it off the top bar?
I think he airmailed it, didn't he?
Yeah, airmailed it, yeah. I remember that.
I think he did, but he was like one of the best players in the world at that time. That happened to him. So, I hate that it ends that way, and I knew as soon as it went to PKs that the Italians would win because they're just more clutch. So that was Sunday, and then Saturday, I can't even remember. Oh, I played a little golf with my oldest, and then we got back and had dinner, and I don't even know why it was there, but I turned on the TV, and Univision was on, and it was the Copa America final. So this was Argentina-Brazil in the final, in the second most important tournament in South America other than the World Cup. And this was Messi, who hadn't won on he had not won a significant tournament for Argentina. And it is the only hole in an otherwise peerless resume. A resume of a man who's worth $1 billion, who is, I think, inarguably the greatest club soccer player of all time by a decent margin, with all due respect to Cristiano Ronaldo, who's great as well. But his brilliance is without question. Mm-hmm. But the pressure of playing for Argentina almost has swallowed him up before. He got to a World Cup final. They lost to Germany in Brazil in 2016, something like that, or maybe 12.
That was 2 ago.
Whenever it was. Yeah. Lost in a final there. So they're playing in Rio. I'm pretty sure they're playing in Rio. It's an empty stadium, or largely empty. And they score early, and I actually watched the entire thing in Spanish. And my wife's like, isn't this on somewhere else? I said, I don't know that it matters. I could see it. I know what's going on. I could pick up enough. And I was almost moved to tears by how an athlete who is as accomplished as him, as wealthy as him, as without peer as him, was almost brought to his knees by the moment of what it meant so shortly after the loss of Diego Maradona to do it for Argentina, which hadn't won in a long time a major tournament. So those two things going back to back it was awesome. I'm with you. You give me a big international tournament, I'm in.
In.
Sign me up.
In. And
Sign
I
me up.
agree with you. PKs need to be abolished. It is great theater. And the English coach who got so much criticism throughout the match, I mean, some of the things I was saying weren't from just my FIFA knowledge. Commentators were beating you over the head with their disagreements with his strategy. You put two of the guys who were on, they said were kind of on the roster because they're great at PK, subs them in, they both miss. And then your last guy's a teenager in that moment with the weight of his entire nation on him. You let him lead off. You put put one of the two studs who both went 2 for 2 to start. One of them's got to be
Harry Kane went first.
Yeah, one of them, Kane's got to be clean up, or there are two of them, right? There's Kane and the other one. Who when they start off, they went 2 for 2, which I understand the momentum of that, but the fate of a nation and a teenager who's kicking this is the biggest ball he's ever kicked in his life.
Yeah.
And the goalies both did a great job.
You're just guessing.
They guessed right an awful lot. They guessed right
an
awful lot.
But I think that's the nerves of the moment, that it swallows you up. Because that without the nerves, that's a simple thing to do.
Yeah.
For those guys. They do it all the time, but the nerves swallow you up. And it'd be kind of like winning the Stanley Cup on a penalty shootout, or winning the Super Bowl on, let's take our 2 field goal kickers out here and see who's the first to miss.
Or have not even your
crazy.
Field goal kickers. Joe Thomas, Paul Brown said, he's like, it'd be like if Joe Thomas has to go in there and kick a field goal. It's absurd. It should be a golden goal automatically. Golden goal. We'll play till tomorrow, but somebody's scoring a goal.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Home run derby last night. We touched that a little bit off the top. Major League Baseball All-Star game tonight. I think these are a really big deal when it's in your town. And we saw it a couple years ago. It's really cool. This used to be a big deal to me when I was a kid. I used to love – my favorite part of it was always the starting lineups, because you would see the uniforms, line up and they'd break down. And when I was a kid, my beloved Oakland A's would have 6 guys starting for the American League.
So many.
2 starters, the reliever, 5 fielders. It was crazy.
Dave Stewart.
But
Eck.
Oh, jeez, little Bobby Welch. Little Bob Welch. Carney Lansford probably made a
Steinbach.
couple. Walt Weiss.
Steinbach was on a few.
Terry Steinbach
Conseco.
probably in there.
Maybe Ricky Henderson.
Did Tony Phillips make an all-star game? I don't know.
Glenn Hubbard.
Dave Henderson.
Mike Gallego.
Who didn't?
Little Louis Polonia.
Mike Gallego. A lot of talent. So Gibby asked the question, is Shohei Otani the most exciting athlete in sports right now? I'll be very honest with you. I've watched no baseball this year. None.
Same.
I mean, it's every once in a while it'll be on, or I'll flip and I'll see, and I'm aware that it's happening and that he's having this, absolutely monumental season. I applaud the heck out of the Angels for letting him do this. Let him pitch. Let him hit. That's awesome. Like, I hope that this allows for more open-mindedness in baseball in general, that if you have guys who can do this, because I'm hard-pressed to believe that he is the first player since Babe Ruth who's had this ability. I just don't – that can't be. My guess is we've just stopped other people from doing it.
We've all grown – listen, anybody who played baseball competitively through high school, right, typically the best guy on the team, at least in our day. Now maybe things are even more specialized with these kids, but in our day, they pitched, they played shortstop if they weren't pitching, and they were the third hitter on the team. That was the guy.
Yeah.
So
that was it. That dude. So that guy's been around.
We've all been doing it for a long time. Like that was you. I'm sure that was me on my baseball teams.
That was that guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
That guy exists, and now he's just existing in the majors, which we haven't seen before. I'll say this about it, and Stephen A. Rough day at the office for him yesterday, clearly with this. But my wife, who knows nothing about baseball, knows nothing about Otani or anything. We watch Home Run Derby. Great-looking guy, smiling the whole time. He just had a good positive vibe and energy about him. She's like, I love this guy. Didn't need to hear him say a word.
Yeah.
Loved him. Yeah. Because of what he's doing. I think his actions and the way he carries himself speak volumes, and the talent. It's unbelievable talent. And to understand that this guy is going to start the All-Star game as a pitcher and bat leadoff.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's great. It's absolutely great. I think, honestly, and Gibby asked the question, if you ask 10 people on the street how many would know, I think the number would be lower than probably as low as you think it would be, which I'm guessing you put it in there because you think it would be low, and I agree that it would be. But I think the same would be true of Mike Trout. That if I walked around with a picture of Mike Trout, do you know who this is? And he wasn't in an Angels uniform, I don't know. And honestly, even if he was in an Angels uniform, I think the big problem that baseball has right now, Otani, Trout, Tatis, the Dodgers, they're all on the West Coast. Their games are 10:05. You're not watching these games on the East Coast.
No.
Baseball is an East Coast sport. It is an East Coast media-driven sport. It has been forever. It is the New York market, the Boston market. It is St. Louis. These places have driven Philadelphia,
the Cardinals, sure.
Baltimore. These are great. The great baseball, Cincinnati, us, the great baseball cities. Look at the television ratings for Indians games. The great baseball cities are out here.
Yeah.
That's where it is, and they're 10:05. You're not watching these games.
No.
You're not.
You're not. I will
say. So that, I think, is a big, big factor in it.
What would you set the over-under on the 10 people? Like I'll give you an example. Miss K had heard of Otani. Like she had heard of his name. Didn't know wouldn't have been able to pick him out, but she hadn't heard of Mike Trout. Not even
I would say,
frame
okay,
reference.
So that's the point I was going to make. I would argue, my hunch would be that non-sports fans more would know Otani than Trout.
Yep, 100%.
And I would argue that I think there's a decent chance that Otani might be the most recognizable baseball player right now. Is that too far of a stretch?
No.
I don't know if it is or not. It might not be. Tatis is really well known as well, and he's all sorts of fun. But I don't know. I feel like that just from a non-sports, I think a lot of people would know. I think more would know him. And Trout has been, in most people's eyes, a generational talent, but largely anonymous. They've never won anything. He's never even playing in October.
It's wild.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's something that I think that sports it's in a bit of a tough way. There's some really exciting players, but it's in a bit of a tough way. My kids haven't asked to watch any of it. I'll tell you that. Have yours?
No.
Nothing.
No.
Nothing.
My kids are not
peep.
the barometer for that, though. They could.
Well,
they're just
mine
not
would
into it.
be, and they weren't. They're not. So there you go. But I love the starting lineup, so I look forward to that tonight. I'll always watch that. All right, coming up next, a little bit of ranking on the quarterback front from Bruce Gradkowski. We will get to that coming up next. Oh, a little higher, lower.
Oh,
it's higher, lower.
Better or worse.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
a little
boy.
better or worse coming your way. What a real treat on a Tuesday, Gimme. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Injuries during childbirth require experienced counsel. Call the lawyers at Elk & Elk for clear answers to what happened during your child's birth. Elk & Elk, a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio today for more. Time for a little better or worse, or sweet spot, or as Gibby likes to call it, higher or lower, or just right. Hello, Gibby.
Hello, gentlemen.
Better or worse,
brother.
let's go.
That's not what it's called.
Well,
Why don't you go put on your silk shirt?
ooh, boy. If it was
Boy, we look
90,
great in
what,
those.
95? 92?
Today you couldn't do it.
No, I
Too
don't mean
much humidity.
temperature-wise. I'm saying the year. Sure, I would.
Oh, the year for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
think the perfect. Really, you were probably in the perfect climate. So if it didn't survive in your climate,
It was great.
Sausalito,
We wore those like on game days for basketball. It was like you'd have your
Sure
silk
we did.
shirt on.
It was a dress shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're darn right it was.
Of course you did.
Oh, yeah. Bet that was a great look. I would have
Yep,
stomped
black
you
silk
on the
shirt
floor.
on game
days.
You
Let's
walked
go.
in, I would have been like,
Jealous.
yep, I'm taking that guy out.
You'd be like-
First guy out of the bet.
I
I would
think
have
the
just
upset
stepped
of the
back on
day-
you and dropped a jumper
No,
right in your eye. Say, nice
That's
try, big fella. Nice try.
Jimmy would have been the guy who went right for the kneecaps on that shot.
Yep.
Right? You just went pulp.
I didn't even watch it. The people used to do that thing where they'd go like this at you, like in your
Oh, no.
nether regions.
No, I think
No,
I don't
no.
think he would threaten.
I would never-
I think he would
there-
take you out.
There was never any, like, I don't pretend to do something.
You know what,
I'm
Gibby?
going
No,
to
no, you
do
just
it.
You know what that would have been called? The quickest
sir.
way to make a 17-footer a three-point shot. Bring it.
Bring it.
All
I think
right,
the
silk
upset of
shirt
this
guy.
show is Gibby not wearing silk shirts. I never would have guessed that.
I'm stunned by it.
No.
I'm
Stunned.
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 I think you would have thrived.
Did you
to me,
ever
it would
wear-
have been everything. I think you even would have done the top button just to mix it up.
Oh, I think it would have been great.
I
Gibby,
did
do you
go through a top button phase. It was kind of
did you participate in the it was, I think there were silk T-shirts, honestly, that people would wear. Like all the athletes wore them under suits. You'd wear like a green suit with a black like silk
a
T-shirt
little
underneath.
mock.
Yeah, like a little mock.
Little mock.
Oh, that
little
was
mock
big.
neck.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I had that look. Sure.
Oh yeah, I had those.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was a big look. Gibby.
for you.
Nice.
No, for
ivory
everybody.
Not so
silk
sure about
t-shirt
here.
with a little
Frank
I'm
mock
Thomas-
fairly
neck.
confident in the Midwest.
The Big Hurt was
Midwest
all about it.
/
Harold Baines.
Mideast.
Put it on the poll, Gibby. Did
Yeah.
you own a silk shirt in the 90s? I bet you the more.
Bet
did
you
than
way
didn't.
more than you
Or is
think.
that
All right,
tomorrow?
that's
Maybe
going
do
up
that
tomorrow.
Way more.
Tomorrow we'll do
It's a
that.
lock.
Way more.
Pound the
Dude,
over.
I had
What would you?
several.
What are you setting the percent at, Gibby? Based on what you've been saying, I think you think it's below 25%.
All right, I'll go that number for you.
I think it's going to be 75%.
Yeah,
half.
lock. That is the lock of the century.
Yeah. I think it's like.
I was
Did you have
originally going to
carpenter
say
pants
below
from Abercrombie
30%.
and Fitch?
If you
Yes.
win this, it is a bigger. It will be a bigger upset to me, and I think to Beau as well than Team USA losing back-to-back to Nigeria and Australia.
We'll be a
Yeah,
bigger upset if
like-
you win this.
Way bigger upset.
Those
if
countries
you win it.
actually play the game of basketball and not an individual sport.
Oh my God! If you
Shots
had a
fired.
mustache and my eyes were closed, you'd be my dad right now. That was pure Pedro.
Top row.
That was, oh my God, that was as Pedro a comment
Pedro
as there
was
could
top
ever
row.
be.
Yeah.
Hell,
Yeah.
it's a team sport in every other country, just not here.
He's still going. Are you,
Still
is
going.
he channeling? Is he like in there? It's unbelievable.
Do you have a super Tuscan there that I can't see?
Yeah.
We're not even going to get to hire them.
Nerd.
There's no time. We don't have time. We
There
couldn't get to
really
that
is
to
no
be on.
time for this.
By the way, my dad the other day declared that
tomorrow.
his basketball idol was Bill Laimbeer, and I go, "Yeah, biggest cheap shot artist ever. No, not a surprise to me whatsoever." And he's like, "Oh no, he wasn't a cheap shot artist. He was just physical." I
No
go, "There are
way.
so many things wrong with
Nope.
what you just said
I
that we're
can't-
not
I-
going to get into, but very dirty."
Do you find him recognizable anymore, Pedro, when he makes statements like that? Like his favorite basketball player is Bill Laimbeer? There's no way he thought that when he was young.
Didn't say his favorite. He said that was his basketball idol. That's who he tried to model his game after.
Yeah,
Oh, he wanted
I could
his
totally
game like
see
that.
Now that I would
Yeah,
understand.
and I said that to Vince Desean when he's like, "Yeah, he was the dirtiest old man player I know." I said, "Yeah, dirty. Elbows, unnecessary screens, violence for the sake of violence."
Yes, 100%.
Does he have a little?
He could
Does
shoot
he have
it
a
too.
Rick Barry granny free throw that
No,
he
he
knocks down?
kind of because of his stigmatism, he shot the ball like over the opposite side of his head, but he could stroke it. My dad could shoot. He could make a layup.
Yeah. Was there elevation on that? Couldn't make a layup.
No, I feel like I've said this before, but if my life We're on the line right now. We walked into a gym with my dad even today, and you said he can shoot a 3, like an old school 3, like the one that went right on the top of the key.
Top of the key.
Top of the key 3, or an uncontested layup. Your life is on the line. I would have my dad shoot a 3 without any hesitation. There is no chance he makes an uncontested layup.
It's so easy. Just
no, he jumps off the wrong. He does his body. It's a spasm. It's awful. I think it led to much of his anger playing the game. But he could stroke it. You gave him a second. Yeah, and it was a quick. It was kind of Del Curry-like. Not much off the ground. It was just a little quick flick, but he could stroke
quick
it.
Flick.
Yeah. He used to beat the kids when he was like the dean at Moreau and stuff, and even when he was just a teacher later on. He would be in the 3-point contest, and he would whoop the kids on the varsity team. He could shoot.
God, that's great. Gibby, when you unleashed the game at BG, when you were BGSU Gibbs, you unleash a little physicality on the kids in the
Define
unleash,
because it really wasn't at the college level.
He threw
you would through
like a wall.
You fought it? You threw a guy through a wall, Gibby?
In a church league.
In a church
I got
league.
thrown out of a church league.
Yes.
Church league.
I looked at the official, and then all right.
Yeah, in my mind, hold on. Can I just say one thing before you tell the story? In my mind, it's like one of those church gyms where the concession stand has like the little counter, and there's the window cut out where they usually have a metal thing down if it's that open. Yeah. And I think you put somebody through that. That's in my mind what happened.
No,
oh, man, that would be great.
No, we're playing in this church league. I was living in Illinois. I'm running with some buddies of mine, and they're like, hey, you got to come play in this league. I'm like, all right, great. We're playing in this league, make it to the championship game. We're playing the official church team. So all of a sudden, there's a crowd. I walked out. I'm like, there's like 100 people here for this.
Where they go?
Rec league game. What are we doing?
Oster tag.
And like, we're playing, and all we're thinking about is, hey, let's get this win. Let's go to the bar and drink some beers all night.
Sure.
So we're losing to this team. We're getting homered by the officials, who, by the way, there's at least, if not all 3,
men of the cloth,
are members of the church.
That's right.
We're not going to win this. But 3 or 4 minutes to go. This kid had been doing it the entire time. He'd been cherry picking. I, for one,
you don't have that.
Not a fan of the cherry picker. Not at all.
No integrity to a cherry pick.
Yeah, respect the game.
That's right.
So, I get the guys together. I said, and the one official is like, I'm not calling anything. One of our guys got hurt, and he's down, and I get everybody together, and I said, I'm about to leave the game. Here's what we're going to do.
I'm going to rattle some cages.
That was
the precursor
I looked
to
at
cage
the one
rattling.
guy. I go, you're going to intentionally miss this shot. They're going to outlet it. I'll see you at the bar.
No. Oh, jeez.
Literally, they outlet the ball, and a couple of my buddies from Illinois, I wish we had time, they would call in. They were like, Gibbs never even looked up. He's straight at the ground, running as fast as he can towards this kid. Everybody in the gym's whooping and hollering, and as this guy goes up, I literally football speared him into the wall. Put him down. He's laying there, not knowing what day it is. Everybody in the gym's like, what? I looked at the official. I go, that, sir, is what you call a foul. And I walked out.
And you walked out. Oh, my God.
I want you DNA tested. You might be Pedro's kid. I want a
spectacular
DNA test, right? It could be, right. Swap
my buddies
you guys could do twins.
My buddies are like, it was just amazing.
This is so great. I just want to
Browns therapy, get on it.
I wanted to say real quickly, cherry picking, I feel like, I understand if that's what somebody's doing, but I found that I got very good, and I was just enough off of a guy on the wing, and then I would close out with the hard closeout and get my hand up, distract the shot, and then guess what?
And then run out.
And then the momentum's taking you.
2 things.
You just keep going.
So, as shocking as it was that Gibby didn't own a silk shirt, it is the opposite of that. That's what you did. That is the least surprising thing of all time. That you were run by contested 3 guy, layup on the other end guy.
Oh yeah.
That's the least. That's a
I
lot.
blocked out.
Both
I had a great floor game, but in that
I'm
instance,
sure you blocked out.
In that instance,
little run by,
anybody out.
Long rebound.
No, I did. I was a good passer, a great floor game. The coach did a drawing one time on the whiteboard. He goes, "This is the court to Zegura. Offense to defense, it was like scaling Mount Everest. Defense to offense, it was like straight downhill." He's like, "It's unbelievable how you're able to do that."
We'll do a little better or worse tomorrow.
Yeah.
On the program. That's a big tease for the kids.
Huge.
Still so much more to come. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN
Cornucopia.
Cleveland. Well, I told you. For
So
the great
much.
D. And Give. I am merely Beau. Thanks for listening, folks.